all going to have to do this. So this is my treadmill inside my house. And that is ESPN, which was not talking about the coronavirus. I mean to everybody at home, you're all going to have to find ways like this. And this was the start of the workout, if you can see those numbers. It was the very start. But we're all going to have to find ways of self-care. And so when you feel that anxiety bubbling up, get up, go do something, take a walk, play with your dog, do whatever it is that you need to do. Take care of yourself. Shut off the TV and the internet. We really need everybody to stay calm as we move through this. And I hope by me being a little bit vulnerable and talking about there being times where even your governor feels a little bit overwhelmed and taking a little bit of time for myself, that you will take a little bit of time for yourself. That includes everybody. That includes the media that's here. That includes people at home. Just please take care of yourself and do not let this overwhelm you. We're going to be dealing with this for a little bit of time. And I can't tell you how long, but I just need everybody to be a good citizen, to remember that this is Team Kentucky. This is us against the coronavirus. At this point, it is all hands on deck. Every single one of us is important in this fight, and I hope it gives you a sense of purpose, and I hope it gives you a sense of patriotic duty to your country, to this Commonwealth. What we do is we protect each other, and we as Kentuckians love one another. Let's prove it. To those big lines that are out there in our stores, please, please, just shop for what you need for the next week. We will work to make sure that there is a sufficient supply out there. I had a call with our major grocers and other chains today, and they're going to implement some just regular steps to make sure there's enough for everybody. Remember, if you're panicked and you buy 6 months' worth of toilet paper, that means other people don't have toilet paper, and they need toilet paper. I'm not trying to have a lot of levity, though I hope that a couple of y'all can laugh. It helps us deal with all of this. But that's the type of citizen we need to be. Let me give you a more serious example, and I've said it a couple times, and that's baby formula. If you buy more than you need, and I understand you're worried, it means there's less for other people. Remember, we have duties to each other. We got to follow those duties, and we got to all get through this together. For everybody out there that's nervous, remember 80% of people who get this are barely going to show symptoms, right? So you are going to be okay. This does not impact kids, at least at the degree that other things have in the past. There are some outliers, but it appears that kids are very safe to this. So if you're a parent like I am of a 9 and a 10-year-old, just breathe, right? Just breathe. It is going to be okay for them, and that's a blessing. And we got to look for blessings. That's a blessing. What we are doing and the significant steps we are taking, the major disruptions that we are going to cause to our lives and to the economy are to protect the most vulnerable among us, and we all have to do that. Those are my parents. Those are your parents. Those are grandparents of our kids. We are doing this to protect each other. Let's make sure that with all the additional anxiety, we breathe, we take time, we get on our own treadmills, as long as they are in your home, because we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We got to make sure we do everything to stop this virus. Now, let's start spreading good news. We need it. At times like this, when we can share good things that we are doing, it lifts us all up. We got 2 hashtags we want you to use. Please consider this, your duty to do it, to lift up your friends that might be feeling a little down, to give enthusiasm and optimism out there. We are asking you, when you do good things that help us to battle this virus, you tweet about it, or you go on Facebook and you use hashtag Team Kentucky and Together KY. These are just ways where if you model the right behavior and everybody else sees it, more people will do it. All right, updates today. I'm going to first give an update on our number of cases. then I'm going to do what I do every single time. And I know you all are used to this by now. I'm going to go through all the steps we've taken, and I'm going to announce some new steps. Again, this is going to happen every day. It ought to be pretty normal by now, and I hope that it feels normal moving forward. We will get through this. There will be a time that we can lift these steps, but let me go ahead and tell you that we are going to reach a point, I hope, where after we see a spike in cases, because we'll see it, expect it. It's okay with 80% of people being okay. If we are doing what we need to, we'll protect the most vulnerable. But there will be a point after that where if we're doing everything we need to, we will see a decrease in cases. I can't give you a time period on that. When that happens, please understand we're not going to lift the restrictions that we've given, because we have seen examples in the past where if you do that too early, it's not effective. So just prepare yourself. That my hope is that after we announce as we go forward more cases, which we anticipate, that there will be some point in the time in the future where I hope we can announce a lot fewer cases, but then there will still be those restrictions in place. Let's just prepare for it, right? Because let's defeat this. Let's defeat it on our first try. Let's make sure we don't have to have restrictions, reduce restrictions, and then add them again. And let me say, I know it's tough on everybody, but we can do this. We are a resilient people. We love each other as Kentuckians and as Americans. And I said this earlier, and our Secretary of State's going to be here today, and he's going to talk a little bit. There are no Democrats, there are no Republicans, there are no liberals or conservatives. We are only Kentuckians fighting the coronavirus until this is done. I never thought I'd say this, but when we can get back to the point where we have the space and the time to have the rest of those potential divisions, that'll be a time where I think we're all happy, because it'll mean we're past all this. Now, I hope by coming together as Americans, we will have a very different political climate when this is over, but there are no politics, none, in this state until we get through this. Okay, so tonight's update is that we have one new positive case, but again, these results come in at different times. We don't have our state lab results coming in, so we should probably expect more positives. But as of tonight, we have 22 positive cases. The new case is a 34-year-old female from Jefferson County. Again, we believe that there are cases out there where people aren't being tested because they're asymptomatic. That's a good thing for that individual. It's a good thing that this virus works in that way. But what it means is that we all have a duty to ensure that we are not spreading it. Okay, I'm going to go through, before I get there, just for the seriousness of it. And again, we all got to remain calm as we address it. But I announced this morning that we had our first person pass away, where the coronavirus was not the only factor, but it was a factor. And I want to be transparent about it, and it just shows that how serious this is. I also want to be transparent that it probably won't be the only one. And while we don't have anyone else in that condition at the moment, and I hope we never do, that what we're dealing with is serious. It shouldn't scare you, but it should give you a commitment to make sure we are following the guidelines that we have to follow to make sure that our parents and our grandparents all get through this. We love everybody, every Kentuckian out there, and we will make it. Okay, steps that we've taken. You've heard this part. I'm still going to do it every time. We declared a state of emergency to give us the extra tools we needed to battle the coronavirus. We activated the Emergency Management Operations Center. We moved that today to level 3. That's an important step so that we have additional operational capacity as we move forward and as we make plans. Plans from everything from when we have the capabilities, setting up mobile testing centers to make sure everybody can get tested, to anything we can do to provide meals and any other thing that we're going to need along the way. If we move up that at any point in the future, I'll tell you about it, but it shouldn't be something that worries people. It just makes sure that we have additional resources available. We activated the State Health Operations Center, which they call the SHOC. I'm not sure that's the best acronym, but it simply helps us communicate with our local health departments. Each and every one of us ought to really appreciate our local health departments. Let me just give a thank you to the one in Harrison County. Dr. Crystal Murray runs that one. They have reacted in the most positive way that gives us an example that we're going to have to follow all across Kentucky. We announced Kentucky's COVID hotline, 1-800-722-5725. That is 1-800-722-5725. We're over 2,000 calls a day. And you know what? Keep them coming. If it means that you are not going to a healthcare facility, keep calling the hotline. We'll hire who we have to. We'll spend what we have to. If it makes sure that we are not creating a surge in our healthcare facilities, it's a good thing. Can we show the website? We have Kentucky's COVID-19, that's the coronavirus website, kycovid19.ky.gov. All right, folks, I'm proud of you. This is the definitive website. We want everybody to go to it once it comes up. We're working on it. Well, we'll wait just 1 second. But here's why I'm proud of you. This is the definitive place to go for information, and you all have heard it. You've heard it, in fact, so much that we had so many visitors at one point it crashed today. I'm telling you, you got to look for the blessings in everything. That is a good thing because it meant people were going to the definitive source. We got it up very quickly. We're going to have extra servers. Keep going to it. We're going to put up all of our guidance on it. And we're going to have some new graphics that I'm going to talk about right now. While you're not going to be able to fully see this, we have on the website now a graphic that you can click on that will show you counties where we have had positive tests. You ready? And where we have had just tests. Now I want you to look at this map. This means that people have had at least symptoms and we have needed to test them. Now, while they have tested negative, this should show you that we believe that the coronavirus is in every region of the state. Again, that's not to get you worried, to get you upset. 80% of people are going to be just fine that have it. But what it means is we can't have any Kentuckian or any region saying we haven't had one here and therefore we don't have to take additional steps. I'll talk about restaurants and bars in a minute. But I saw a Facebook post from a Western Kentucky restaurant today. I'm not going to name them because I hope that they change, that said they were going to stay open no matter what. You cannot do that. And as we talk through it, we're going to talk about why. This is our patriotic duty to our friends, to our parents, to our fellow Kentuckian. We need to make sure we do everything we can. And again, when that anxiety gets a little too much, take a break. If you need to take a break right now, you can watch this later, I'm told. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. We're going to continue to take the right steps and the necessary steps. I'm going to pause in our steps, and I'm going to ask that Kenneth, who is working this, bring up the line graphs again. I want to talk every day about what we're doing and why. So again, these are the line graphs that show where we're trying to go. This is based on work from Seattle, where we have seen a very tough scenario that we do not want to repeat here in Kentucky. The blue is if we all just continue as business as usual, having the same contacts, if we didn't make all of these restrictions. We do not want to see that number of cases. That number of cases would make it very difficult on our healthcare facilities to make sure they can help everybody that needs help. And that's what we want. We want to do all the planning. We want to be aggressive in our steps to make sure that everybody who needs help can get help. What we really want to be here, and Kenneth, people can see this at home, we want to be the red line. I no longer want to be the yellow line or the green line. We want to be the red line. Because what does that mean? We are protecting as many of our people as humanly possible. But it takes all of you, to make sure that we make the red line. Can you show the St. Louis versus Philadelphia map? Once again, if you hear, well, you only have 22 cases, we know we have more than that in the Commonwealth, and why are you taking active steps? So this is Spanish flu, and remember, when you look at this, we have a much better healthcare system than we used to, and at least right now we think that the coronavirus is not as dangerous as the Spanish flu, but this is really important to see why we got to be aggressive early. Philadelphia, which is on here, did not take the steps they needed for several weeks when they had their first case of the Spanish flu, and you saw a large spike of cases, and there was a real toll that was there. Thankfully, we have other examples. St. Louis took immediate steps like we're doing, but they were significant steps like we are doing. If you want to know why we're closing restaurants and bars, it's that we want to be St. Louis instead of Philadelphia. So if you are a Kentuckian and you're upset about that or other steps we're going to have to take, look at this graph. The difference between the peak in St. Louis and the peak in Philadelphia is how many people we protect, and I think that is really, really significant. Those are my relatives and they're yours. We are in this together. We will get through it, and based on the steps we're taking, we're going to protect the maximum number of people that we can. And I'm going to do everything I can. And I will say we're going to continue to take steps. I'm going to announce more today. And know that whether you agree or disagree, I'm doing everything I can to protect our people. And I'm committed. I'm absolutely committed to doing it. All right, we issued an executive order to prohibit price gouging. If you see price gouging, call 888-432-9257. I know the Attorney General is ready. They will respond, and we have seen some examples out there, I believe. Call it in. Let them know. We adjusted state government sick leave to ensure our state employees could have the time away from work. If they were sick, every business now needs to be doing the same. We've encouraged it, but where we are in this process, making sure we don't have the Philadelphia spike, we need you to do it. We have published the CDC guidelines. By the way, I believe they're being updated, and they will show the steps that we've been taking for several weeks are being adopted by the CDC. They say now, everybody needs to avoid crowds, engage in social distancing, that we all have an obligation in this. I even saw in the President's news conference today that they're recommending people stay away from restaurants and bars. I hope people understand that our closure order is so critically important. We heard it in that press conference today. Remember, people over 60 and people with heart, lung, and kidney disease, diabetes, if their immune system is compromised in any way, these are the people that we are most worried about. Wash your hands over and over. Everybody who's washing, I want you to say out loud how many times you've washed your hands today. Now, I know if I divided that in half, that's the truth, because I do that with my kids. So I want everybody out there to commit, starting tonight, starting right after this, to double whatever number is real. You don't have to be compulsive about it. Again, that increases anxiety, but just commit to doing it for you, for your kids. My kids are now in a better place. I watch them wash their hands for about 4 days. Let's create those practices. If you can't find hand sanitizer, remember that soap and water is better. Use the soap and water. And if you can't find enough cleaners for your home, use the 1-100 bleach solution. We believe that it works. We filed executive orders to waive copays, deductibles, cost sharing, and diagnostic testing fees for private insurers and state employees for everything related to the coronavirus. We're doing the same with Medicaid. Now, we put out a When to Seek Care infographic. It's one of the important things that we go over day in and day out. And I know we got media that are watching that are probably bored of seeing this, but I need you, as part of your duty, to repeat this every story, every time. This is how we make sure that we have the capabilities we need to protect those who get sick when they get sick. What that means is if you are well, but you are nervous, don't go to one of our healthcare facilities. Call the hotline, and we will answer your questions. If you are sick but otherwise would not have sought care, again, cold, allergies, those things haven't gone away. Don't go to a healthcare facility. Call the hotline. Now, if you are absolutely sick and would have sought care, or if you are injured and would have sought care, go get care. Don't not go to a healthcare facility because of the coronavirus. Go get the health care you need. Again, 80% of people who get this will be asymptomatic or show very little symptoms. As we're dealing with this with the nation and as a state, say that to yourself and breathe out. It'll help you make the best decisions you can. All right. We're working with all 120 counties. Everybody out there know that your local officials are a part of this, your health departments and the rest. We are all in it together. We've seen great leadership on the local level. We limited visits to long-term care facilities and nursing homes except in end-of-life situations. We're going to have to put out some guidance on funerals. First, let me say it's not related to the coronavirus, but we lost a man in Ronnie Ellis, I believe just yesterday, who was a great reporter. His daughter works for us. We are saddened at that loss. He's a good person. And whether that is his funeral or others, we need to make sure that even at something like that, that we have close family there, but that all of these sacrifices we're making as a commonwealth and as a nation, that we don't gather in very large numbers and ultimately undo those sacrifices that we are doing. We signed an executive order on pharmacies so that you can refill prescriptions up to 30 days. We've done that, I believe, in the last week. So everybody out there that has one running out, you can have at least 30 more days. Let me make this commitment to you. We will do whatever it takes to give more leniency on that. We want to make sure that you don't have to go to a doctor and overwhelm, again, the healthcare capacity if all it is routine prescriptions. We have ceased in-class instruction in all of our school districts. Thank you to those superintendents. Thank you to everybody working to provide non-traditional instruction. To those that don't have it, we'll do everything we can to make sure you're not penalized for it. But let me say this, it is a good thing. It is a good thing whether you get credit or not as a school system to have activities for children during that period. And even if every child can't do it, which hurts when they can't, to have those assignments, that schedule, everything normal we can have for our children is really important over the next 3 months. It's important for their mental health. It's important for their parents' mental health. So let's make sure that we're all comfortable as school districts, as leadership, that we will make sure that we are there, whether it's funding or anything else that's needed, but that we do everything we can to provide as much structure to as many kids as possible, the social services they need, and the meals that they need. I know I had a question for later, and I want to answer it now about whether we're specifically coordinating with X group or Y group. I think this one was an open letter from the Baptist Convention. We're going to do everything we can to talk to as many people as we can as we go. But I admit I'm working very fast, as is my staff. We will work to try to bring everybody into the fold for all the things you can do. But don't wait on me to be a leader. If you are a house of worship or anything relatable, reach out to all your seniors that you think might have been getting meals at senior centers and see what you can do. Reach out to folks that have children that you think might not get the meals that they need because they're not going to school, and see what you can do. Again, limit the number of contacts, but we need everybody to think about how they are going to be a leader to provide for those that need it most in our society. But as we go forward, we're going to try to create as many point people in the administration to coordinate with as many people. But remember, as long as you're following the guidance, we need everybody out there to be a big part of Team Kentucky And sometimes that's taking the ball and doing everything you can according to the guidance to help people. We've advised that all community gatherings should be canceled or postponed. We will probably have more information on that one tomorrow morning. Thank you to everybody that has been doing that. We need everybody to do that. We suspended out-of-state travel for state employees. We encouraged all business to allow employees to work from home, as many as possible. We are cutting our in-person workforce in state government by at least 50%. We're going to continue to work on that number. We have recommended the closure of senior centers to help stop spreading the virus. We're working to make sure everybody still has meals. We have the Kentucky Employers Mutual Insurance providing wage replacement benefits for first responders and medical personnel that have been quarantined in battling the coronavirus. And in all of these things we do, you're going to see, even when we have to take tough steps, there's going to be some exceptions for those working in the healthcare industry. We need them. We're going to make those exceptions because they are our frontline workers and will be the heroes that help us address this. We announced that the boards and commissions will cancel in-person meetings and instead use teleconference technology. The public is still going to be able to watch. We followed the emergency declaration from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, which is for commercial drivers, helping in this effort. The USDA has allowed us to serve meals to students during non-traditional instruction. That's really helpful. It's going to mean more meals get to students. We asked Kentucky hospitals to cease elective procedures by the close of business Wednesday, March 18th. While we are working with them, this will eventually not be voluntary. It will eventually be mandatory because it's a step we have to take. We have to make sure that we have the capacity in our healthcare system to do what is necessary. There have been some questions. This absolutely includes dentistry. Any elective dentistry procedures, we've got to get through this before they are provided. So practice really good dental hygiene. We will allow our dentists to help give us guidance on what is an emergency, but understand how easily this could pass. In a facility like that, when our dentists and our oral hygienists do not have the type of personal protective gear that they would otherwise need. I know that's going to be hard on dentists' offices, but it is important. So, parents, kids like mine, make sure they brush. Make sure they brush as many times they need to per day. It may be a little longer before they see a dentist. We have worked to make sure that the testing for this will be free for everyone when we are able to get to the point where everybody can be tested. We want that to be the case. We are hoping that will be the case in the future. While I continue to get different projections, I'm going to make sure that I know a date is certain when I tell you that a date is certain. Until then, we got to conserve our resources for the most sick, knowing that most of us are going to be just fine. All right, we're going to ask child care centers across Kentucky, and this is new, to close by close of business on Friday. That's going to give parents and this week to make sure that they can take the steps that they need. We are going to have some exceptions in the policy to healthcare workers. There's going to be some on-site employer exceptions. I know it's going to be hard. Everything I've announced the last 3 days is going to be hard, but it is all necessary, and I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't believe that we had to do it. So, again, those out there that it's going to take an extra step on, breathe, start thinking through what we can do, start thinking through your other options, and we will make it. We'll just make it by adjusting the way that we have to, and we will get through this. We've taken steps with a single individual to force home isolation. They have now agreed to it, but understand that if you test positive to this, you are going to have to self-isolate. Just where we are as a state, everybody be a good teammate. We've issued tips and guidance on good mental health during this. Read them. Can you put it up, Kenneth? Look at it. Make sure that you are following those good tips and good instructions. It's going to be tough. I mean, we have so much interaction with people that is so important, and you still can, 6 feet away. We now have more tools than ever to see people. In fact, our millennials rarely see each other at all, it seems. They text and video chat and the rest. Maybe it's time that we learn from them. But practice good mental health. I talked to you a little bit about mine today. When you need that break, when you need that stress relief, go and get it. Our Emergency Operations Center is now at level 3. That helps us prepare for our response. We put out, and it is an order, to close all restaurants and bars to in-person traffic. We can still have drive-through, delivery, and if done right, takeout. Curbside service. We just got to make sure we're not creating lines of people in person that would otherwise frustrate what our goals are. And let me tell you, we need you all to order out. It is important during this time period. These are small businesses. Understand the impact of this order. Let me tell you that this order is mandatory. It's absolutely necessary. It's going to protect our people. I understand it comes with difficulty. So we are waiving the waiting period for unemployment for people that are losing their jobs due to the coronavirus, and we'll waive any work search requirements until the state of emergency is lifted. I know for those that are going to lose their job that is not a lot of comfort. But I want to tell you that we will work every single day to do everything we can to lessen its impact. And I'm going to talk about SBA here in a minute. We're beginning on tomorrow morning. We are closing the state capitol to non-essential personnel. That'll be people who work here. That'll be the media. But please understand that these are steps that we have to take. And even people in that group, if you can work from home, I would now suggest that you do it. It's just one of those important steps we take as we move forward. Okay, some new steps. And again, there are going to be new steps every day. First, we're going to be providing a 3-month extension on driver's license. So anybody who has one that's expiring in the next 3 months, we're going to give that extension. We do not want in-person traffic coming in to those facilities. We are going to, by 5 p.m. tomorrow, close government around the state to in-person services. We are going to pass whatever emergency regulations or the rest that we need to make sure people can get the services that they need. But we have to model the type of behavior that we want to see from other people. We have applied for an SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Declaration, and this is to help especially with some of the steps we're taking. The U.S. Small Business Association is offering designated states and territories low-interest federal disaster loans for working capital to small businesses suffering from substantial economic injury as a result of the coronavirus. We have sent our request directly to the SBA, which allows small business and private nonprofit organizations to seek loans from the SBA to help alleviate economic injury caused by the coronavirus. So please know that we are taking all of those steps. All right, here's another big one. With the recommendation from our Secretary of State, who I'm going to ask to step up here now, we are postponing our primary elections by the 35 days allowed under state law. That means they will be moved to June 23rd. Again, a necessary step. We don't want people out there trying to create gatherings where the coronavirus could spread. And just think about the poll worker at your location. We cannot ask people to sit all day long at one of these centers, especially when they are some of the most vulnerable. I think this recommendation by the Secretary of State shows what I've been saying. There are no parties. There's just us against the coronavirus. I'm going to ask Secretary of State Michael Adams to come up now.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Adams, Kentucky Secretary of State and Chief Elections Official. State law allows the governor, upon the recommendation of the Secretary of State, to change the location of an election and to delay the time an election occurs. On May 19th, we've got our statewide primary elections for the Democratic and Republican parties. We also have special elections and local option elections in various parts of the state. I made a recommendation in writing today to the governor. It's not something I've done lightly. It's something that was done with feedback from county clerks of both parties around the state, State Board of Elections staff, and others. Most of the powers the governor has in cases of emergency are his sole powers. This is a unique one that actually envisions a role also for me as the Secretary of State. It's sort of a happy coincidence, I think, that you've got a Secretary of State and a governor of differing political parties agreeing jointly that this needs to be delayed for a period of 35 days. This gets a couple of things. Number one, it buys us time. Obviously, the hope is that by June 23rd, the worst will be over and we'll be able to have an election that's as normal as possible. The other possibility is that we won't be back to normal. This will give us time to assess changes that we can make in our election system as to location, and potentially even as to method, to make sure that we can have a smooth election. If you have any questions, I'll stay till the end, be happy to answer any that I can. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. We all ought to thank Secretary Adams and everybody else who is coming together. One team, us, against the coronavirus. That's where we are in this world, and we are going to win by this type of cooperation. Okay, next, I understand that our decision today and other decisions we've made, but specifically with bars and restaurants, is going to cause additional unemployment. I knew it when I made it, and admittedly it's weighed heavily on me. It's why I needed that extra time today to make sure that that I was healthy, and took that moment out to get myself recentered, just like so many people are going to have to. But we want to make sure that those that are in this situation have the tools they need in the coming months. And so I've asked for individuals from the Education Cabinet to be here today to explain the process for applying for unemployment.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
My name is Josh Benton, the Deputy Secretary of the Education and Workforce Development Cabinet. And just to reiterate some of the things that the Governor has mentioned this evening is, we want to encourage, when at all possible, for employers to provide flexibilities to their employees, both with sick leave and opportunities to work from home. But we also recognize that there will be potential job loss as a result of the coronavirus. And so, while we have not yet experienced large-scale job loss as a result of the coronavirus, we want to be prepared for that. But most importantly, we want to serve those Kentuckians who are in the process of experiencing job loss as a result of the coronavirus. So just to overview a couple of processes and to also talk through the executive order that the Governor referenced this morning. The Education and Workforce Development Cabinet will provide unemployment insurance benefits for individuals experiencing job loss and medical quarantine associated with COVID-19. So this means two really different scenarios. One is if someone experiences quarantine and during that process has separation of employment, we will be able to provide unemployment insurance to those individuals. Additionally, if there are fluctuations in the economy that cause employers to lay individuals off, we are going to view both of these situations as temporary job loss situations. So individuals will not have to perform that work search that the Governor referenced earlier. They will either when their time of quarantine ends or when their employer calls them back to work, they will remain on unemployment insurance until those times have come. We worked with the U.S. Department of Labor to secure this flexibility so that in either one of those scenarios we can be the most accommodating and most supportive to those Kentuckians who are experiencing job loss in either one of those scenarios. Today's executive order is something I also want to address that talks about waiving the 7-day wait period. So typically, we process unemployment insurance benefits much like companies process payroll every 2 weeks. So when someone loses their job as no fault of their own, they can apply or file for unemployment insurance. Under Kentucky law and guidance from the federal government, we have a 1-week waiting period. And during that time, we assess and do due diligence on that claim, and then determine that person to be eligible for benefits. After that 7-day period has ended, then they can request payment on benefits. As the current law stands, they cannot receive benefits for that waiting period. So the executive order today allows individuals who are claiming benefits to do 2 things at the same time. When they experience job loss, they can file for unemployment insurance and request benefits, so that first unemployment insurance benefit is for a full 2-week period. After the initial claim, they will have what's the traditional 26 weeks of unemployment insurance, and again, they can remain unemployed until their quarantine has ended, or until their employer calls them back to work. Should also say this is somewhat of a fluid situation. We are hopeful that Congress passes 2-week medical leave as a result of quarantine, but until that happens, we want to make sure that individuals experiencing quarantine and job loss are able to have cash flow during that time. To just prepare for this demand, we've taken some immediate actions. We're increasing staff on our unemployment insurance call center line so that we can provide quality service to individuals experiencing job loss. We have dedicated additional staff also to reviewing and adjudicating claims, so that when these are filed, that we can review them in an expedient amount of time. We're enhancing online security as of March 10th to make sure that we can weed out any fraud attempts on the system. And we also, to increase accessibility, earlier this month launched an online chat feature where individuals can receive assistance to unemployment insurance on the computer in the form of a chat function. To date, we're averaging about 250 people a day through that chat option. So for individuals who have experienced job loss and would like to apply, this infographic provides some information, but they can apply at kcc.ky.gov, Monday through Friday, 7 to 7, and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., all Eastern Time. The documents that are needed. Obviously, there has the potential to be increased requests coming in, but just to make sure we can process those, it's important that individuals have the right documentation when they apply. So their Social Security or alien registration number, the name of their employer, and the dates of their employment are critically important. And we also want to say, as was talked about the COVID-19 website, is that we know this is potentially going to add stress to our system. So we are staffing up. We're putting in parameters so that we can have increased system dependability, but we also want to stress patience. We're going to do everything we can to process payments as quickly as possible, and the service to our fellow Kentuckians is our top priority. So with that, I too will be around at the end to address any questions.
Show you how we are all tied together. Josh's son and my son play on a basketball team together. That season has now been canceled and or postponed, and we're going to see that more and more over the coming weeks. And let me say, if it's an AAU group or the rest and something has not been canceled that would create a crowd, it needs to be. It needs to be. And so, folks, use good judgment. Sometimes everybody thinks, well, everything but my group. We need to make sure that you are not that individual and you are not that group that is putting your needs above the needs of the Commonwealth. All right, I'm going to open it up to questions, and I'm going to read a couple. We took what were